So as I was experimenting on a bunch of different fights with Enchantress and realized how powerful she can be for some longer fights, I wanted to take her against the meta long fight right now, which is against a Summer of Suffering Destroyer, and obviously Summer of Suffering bosses refresh every 2 weeks, and I consider them to be some of the most meta long-form content right now, because obviously Necropolis is getting a little bit older, so I wanted to see how well she could take this fight. She also is #villain, if I remember correctly, so she will fit one of the objectives, which I already did with Mr. Negative, but in case you haven't done it yet and you have Enchantress, she might be good for this one. And basically, a thing you can do for this fight is she has 3 different forms of buff control, and if we just use them all at once, we can control that unblockable node very well. And the unblockable node is one of the more annoying parts of the fight, just because of the fact that he goes unstoppable, he goes unblockable. There's a hard way to get openings sometimes, but also, it's not too big a deal when we can just beta special attacks, dex them, and such like that. So I activate all 3 of my buff control spells plus Charm Champion, which Charm is going to make it to where his power gain is just going to be completely turned off. Like, I'm gonna let him trigger his big power gain in a moment, and then you're gonna see it literally does nothing, because her ability power control is crazy. Like, it's whenever a power gain triggers during the charm debuff actually being active, it's like it just completely turns off the power gain. I use this a lot against Serpent, and yeah, again, it's just very powerful. So now we're gonna start placing our damaging spells with Fireball specifically, and yeah, you see the power gain is doing absolutely nothing, so that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna go for those special dexes right there. If you're worried about misdexing his SP2, you can trigger the it's either Levitate or Etherealness spell I think it's Levitate, that lets you evade all knockdowns, so that would obviously help a lot there. So anyway, we have 4 and 4, and at this point, instead of ramping my green spells, I'm just gonna go for the SP2 kills. So we do a bunch of damage on the special attacks. You saw a really nice burst damage there at the end, and we have a bunch of extra crit rating. Ideally get lucky on the crits, don't always get lucky, but we just want to spam SP2s at this point. We're power controlling them very nicely, just with all the power steal and such, buff control for the unblockable, and yeah, it's just a really good time. Another really nice burst of damage on that SP2, and yeah, it's just spamming SP2s, keep reactivating all of my buff control, keep reactivating all of my damage, and then he's just gonna fall down eventually. So if you do get pushed to an SP3, you can charge a heavy attack, activate the first hit, and then you will have your SP3 disabled and can drop your SP2. So that's a nice way of canceling away this fight can go wrong, because usually you don't want to use Enchantress as SP3. It places a charm, which you can just do by doing her other one of her spells with Charm Champion, which you only have access to if you're awakened, but still, I guess if you're unduped, maybe going for that charm is worth it, because that is your only ability power control in the fight. You obviously have unblockable control from the other buff stuff, but if you want to fully control this fight like Enchantress just did, having the dupe with Charm Champion is definitely helpful. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.